who can prepare things in that much time. You said that you have quite a lot of things to do after work. You sounded quite busy, but you also felt relaxed when you were cooking.
Yes.
But you also have days off. For example, like today you said you had a day off. So I'm wondering, can you describe what your children do on your days off?
I usually do today is Toastmaster, so it means no meal. They understand.
So they get a day off too. Excellent. So and what would you say is your specialty?
My specialty is curry. Ordinary curry has to be curry. I forgot to say frying onion enough is key to delicious curry.
Well, thank you very much for your insight. And Toastmaster Takei, we heard about your another sweetheart. And I have to say that I felt duped at the end, but in a good way. You certainly had me going there about your confession. So, first of all, you said that Wednesday night was kind of your paradise. And so could you tell us a little bit more about what you see as paradise?
Toastmasters Club hold the meeting every Wednesday. Tokyo Toastmasters Club or other Toastmasters Club usually twice a month, but only Sendai Toastmasters Club hold the meeting every Wednesday. So I enjoyed very much 3 years. It's pity to not meeting only twice a month. So I was particularly experienced to join the English club. The first time for me to join the Toastmasters Club. So it was a fun and paradise for me.
So would you say that Thursday nights are a little bit of paradise these days?
Likely family atmosphere. So sometimes we went to karaoke or a baseball game or soccer game on weekend. Weekend is usual paradise for me.
So that was going to be my next question, was what did you do on the weekends? Well, thank you very much. Toastmaster Clancy, you gave us a very insightful and thoroughly researched speech, I felt, about hand gestures and how we communicate. So this was, when you began speaking to us, I almost felt like this is the start to a great documentary film. Can you tell me, how did you go about your research for this project?
I basically just kept my research quite simple. And I had to, when I just basic desktop research, computer, in front of the computer, I think Wikipedia mostly gave most of it to me, but there's such a vast range of hand gestures. And what was interesting about it is, as I was going through this information, I was actually recognizing that each culture around the world has its own form of expression, the way they use their hands. And it reminded me when I was in Italy and I was walking down the street behind this woman, and some chap went past on his little motorbike and almost ran us over. And this woman just went out into the street and just did this action. So, you know, it's so Italian and passionate over the top. Coming from the Anglosphere, we don't do that. So that was interesting, but then I had to sort of work out what would be appropriate for the audience. And I thought the handshake would be one that everyone would really recognize and understand. But coming to Japan, I realized that Japanese have a hard time shaking hands. They don't know how to go about it and so forth. So I thought that would be also helpful for people. They were able to understand a little bit about it.
And I was also interested, did you ever have someone go over the micro detail of how to bow and greet someone in Japan?
I learned that, actually I play Kendo, so I learned that properly.
Okay.
So that wasn't such an awkward thing for me. But
Well, you seemed very comfortable in looking at the detail of something and showing someone the benefit of knowing that.
yeah, it's important. Handshakes, especially coming from countries like, say, I think the US and Australia, which are quite masculine kind of societies. And
Gorillas.
yeah, if you don't shake your hand properly, if someone's going to look at you the wrong way, I mean, it's quite detrimental. They're going to think that, you know. So I was taught from a very young age to shake hands properly by my father, my grandfather. It was embedded into me that no matter what happens to you into the future, if you can shake hands with someone properly, then you're going to go a long way. You know, it'll get you past the first hurdle. In business, in friendships, in...
We have to ask your volunteer then. Do you think he'll go far today? Did he do well?
Yeah.
So okay, you passed the test.
And
Thank you very
your
much.
speech was very informative for me. I was not accustomed to shake hands, so very instructive.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Toastmaster Hideyama, thank you very much for, I thought, a very, again, insightful speech. You seem to be a very deep thinker.
Thank you. I'm very interested in culture, so that's why I decided to talk about this topic. Actually, the first remark was so awakening and at the same time so shocking to me. So I wanted to talk about that someday in this Toastmaster.
I'd like to ask you a little bit more about that moment when you spoke with that person, because those cultural exchanges you talked about, when do we have the opportunity for that to happen? So what were the circumstances in which you had that original exchange?
Well, we were, actually I was joining a kind of camping to learn English, to develop English speaking skills. And so there were Japanese participants and also British people. At that time, there were only British people. So there were 5 or 6 Japanese people and 3 British people there. And we were talking about Japanese culture. Maybe because the topic was Japanese culture, Japanese people said, we Japanese think for many times. So that triggered his remark, I think.
Oh, interesting. So maybe we should arrange some camping trips. Paradise for oh, but that sounds like a good opportunity for that type of exchange.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. And Toastmaster Hauser, your style. So we heard today, I heard some familiar ideas about how to handle a classroom and how to be a real teacher, and I was inspired by your story. And I think I learned a little bit about how to approach those situations in a new way, but one thing I'm interested in is, what do you consider to be a good student? What kind of person is a good student? Is Hiroki, does he have some qualities of a good student, or what type of student can you work with in that way?
Actually, yes. I mean, he was a very good student because he wanted to talk. The worst student is the one who just wants to sit there and, have me leave them alone. Because my classes are very interactive. So if I'm not getting anything back from the student, it's impossible to work with them.
So in what ways did your actions change, and then how did that change your students?
Well, I think I went through the phase where I had this idea that the teacher had to be in charge, ruling the class, controlling the students, because that was a challenge at the time. But I finally realized that to really teach them effectively, there had to be the interaction. I had to more lead them forward, not order them forward.
Or out of the room.
Yeah, well, occasionally. And I still do that occasionally. But I try not to slam my hand out.
Excellent. So how many students would you say you have in 1 year?
Ooh, in 1 year, maybe 500 or 600.
Oh.
So they all kind of become a blur after a while. A couple times a year, someone will come up to me on the street and say, "How's the sensei? Hi!" And we have a 5-minute conversation, and I have no idea who they are. But I just smile and nod.
Well, thank you very much. It was very Okay, well, contestants, thank you very much. I think we're all very grateful for your hard work. Let's give them a hand. And are we ready? So, turn it back over to our chairman, President Johnson.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sundstrom. I'd like to invite you to have a seat.